Thank you everyone for joining us today for this webinar. So it's actually great to see so many faces. So please let us know where you're joining us from and whether you're associated with an institution, college or university, either in the chat. So my name is Yareem and I'm the founder of the Plant-Based Treaty University of Toronto Student Club, and I'm also a university campaigner with the Plant-Based Treaty.
Okay, hello everyone, my name is Uday. I'm part of the Plant-Based Treaty Toronto team. I work on city and educational campaigns across the Greater Toronto Area, including the University of Toronto, University of Waterloo, and York University.
Hi everyone, I'm James. I'm part of the Plant-Based Treaty communications team with Nicola and Anita. I've been with PPT since its launch in 2021 and worked specifically on the University of Salford campaign in the UK and also the National Union of Students campaign in the UK.
Hi everyone, it's lovely to see you all. I'm Nicola from Bournemouth in the UK and I'm part of the Plant-Based Treaty communications team.
Hi everyone, I'm based in Toronto and I'm the global campaign coordinator for the Plant-Based Treaty.
Hi, I'm Kenzie and I am the outreach manager at the Better Food Foundation.
So thanks for joining. During today's webinar, we're going to explain how you can contact university cafeterias and invite them to trial vegan for special occasions like Earth Month coming up in April. We're also going to have a little look at the power of carbon labeling and how you can use university cafeterias to adopt it to shift diners to choose plant-based options. Ultimately, the goal is for university cafeterias to become 100% vegan. But we do have to show understanding that it might not be easy for everyone to do that overnight. So it's important that we learn about the obstacles and we learn how to support cafeterias in this transition. We just want to make sure that when a university cafeteria does increase vegan options or go fully vegan, that the diners stick with the establishment and they don't just go and eat somewhere else. So we're trying to secure meaningful changes that work long term. As we go through the slides, if you have any questions or thoughts or ideas, just pop them in the chat. Yareem? You're on mute.
Thank you so much. Okay, so you might be wondering why universities. So I would like to ask, so can anyone guess how many students are actually enrolled in universities around the world? So if anyone wants to guess, please pop it in the chat. So there are actually over 235 million students enrolled in academic institutions worldwide, which is actually a figure which is set to rise. And on top of that, we have tens of millions of faculty and staff working there. So we also know that a substantial proportion of incoming students at these institutions actually belong to Generation Z or Generation Z, and they have a profound interest in plant-based eating, and also they have a profound interest in combating the climate crisis.
Thank you, Yareem. So what goals should we set? In the short term, we're aiming to increase plant-based offerings on the menu, having vegan specials. For medium term, introducing carbon labeling, which we're going to be sharing later, educational campaigns, and promoting behavior change. And lastly, long term, switching to a fully plant-based menu and remodeling your university, such as some universities having farms, so switching these to veganic farms.
So to kickstart today's training, we will first look back at November's webinar. So Nicola just popped a poll in the chat there. So please please vote to let us know if you came to our November webinar where we asked universities to take part in Veganuary. Okay, great. Thanks so much for voting. So just under a quarter of people did attend and 3/4 didn't. So that's great. We've got so many new people. And for those who did attend, please let us know what you thought of that webinar and if you were able to make any changes at your universities as a result. Yeah, so please let us know in the chat. Over to you, Erin.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So here on the slide, you will see the Plant-Based Treaty University of Toronto team at La Taula Verde, or also known as the Green Beat, at the University of Toronto, the cafeteria. So actually, following November's training, we actually work with Chef Nancy Manotas, who is the lead chef of that cafe and the owner, to make that cafeteria, La Taula Verde, or the Green Beat, to go 100% vegan for the month of January. So that was really exciting. So we have actually started a great partnership here, and they have actually already signed up to, to go vegan for Earth Month in April. So they really want to continue this momentum. So they also actually want to transition their cafeteria to 100% vegan within the year, which is super exciting. So the cafe is actually also plant friendly, and they actually have 7 out of 11 dishes on the menu which are plant-based, which includes very popular vegan cheese empanadas, guacamole burger, delicious, and also vegan tamales. So the other 4 non-vegan dishes are tuna sandwich, ham and cheese sandwich, beef empanada, and chicken empanadas. So does this mean that the switch will only have a small impact? What do you think? So you can pop it in the chat. Like if switching will only have a small impact, what are your thoughts? Well, you may be surprised to know that these 4 non-vegan dishes actually bring the highest sales and revenue. So this means that the switch to 100% plant-based will actually be very impactful if we can take their existing customers along on the journey. So it also shows that we have to help and support the cafeteria and its customers to make that transition so that diners are happy and eating all the plant-based food options. So next slide is essentially what are our short-term goals, and that is to increase plant-based offerings. So you might be wondering, how do we sign the Green Beat and La Taula Verde for veganery? How did it happen? So essentially, the student club, the Plant-Based Treaty Student Club, we spotted the cafe actually at an Instagram spotlight from the sustainability department at the University of Toronto. So we actually spotted them in a video, which actually featured the Green Beat's vegan empanadas and organic ingredients. So we also researched the cafe, and we also watched a really exciting interview on the news of Chef Nancy explaining how plant-based foods, how she considers them to be longevity foods. And also she showcased her plant-based items at one of her other restaurants, which is called Manotas Organics. So we then contacted the chef. Chef Nancy spoke to her about the plant-based treaty and our club, and also the benefits of veganery. And actually, we were pleasantly surprised that Chef Nancy actually shared that her ultimate goal was for her restaurant, the Green Beat, to actually be all vegan, and that veganery would actually be a great way for her to introduce to the students and the university staff to that goal, and for everyone to try an all-vegan menu. So it was really well aligned with her ideas. So finally, she agreed to sign the plant-based treaty as an individual chef, but also as a business. And she said she was very happy to do veganery because she also wanted, since the students also asked for it, right? And also the principles of veganery are actually aligned with her beliefs about, healthy food, longevity foods, which she calls plant-based foods being longevity foods, and also as a solution to the climate crisis. So it was a great, pleasant success story. Back to Uday.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. So now moving on, what are some ways you think, you could think of to inspire plant-based change in a university? Please let us know in the chat. Would love to hear your opinions and thoughts. And if anyone wants to speak for a bit and share, we can have maybe 1 or 2 people speak. So food from the animal point of view. Interesting. Any more ideas? Yes, this one is really important. Don't label vegan meals as vegan. Label all non-vegan meals as contains meats, contain dairy, yeah. Then affordability, yes. Leafleting, great stuff. The special menu. Yeah, affordability is a great one. I've interviewed many students about that. Make the campus an easy place to shift to plant-based. Yeah. Normalize education. Tasty, yes. Great stuff. I really liking the ideas. Nice. Amazing. So moving on now. We can focus on a month-long campaign. So which month is a good month to try vegan at universities? You can see on the slide the ideas we came up with, but if you have any other suggestions, feel free to share in the chat. So at the moment, we're preparing for Earth Month in April, and you can find their diary dates throughout the year that you can leverage, such as Meat-Free May, Veg Week, Frosh Week, Veganuary next year, and then Veguary. And we've learned some lessons from the last time, which we will share with you. So now we're going to ask a poll now. Are you planning to ask your university to trial a vegan menu for Earth Month? We would love to see what you think. And you can follow this same process to ask your university to try vegan for Earth Month. We'll put some links in the chat here for a template letter and a loose script if you're able to secure a meeting with the executive chef or head chef, which would be amazing. So hopefully you can see the links we shared and answer the poll. If it's showing.
So what if they say yes? Well, once successes are achieved, it's really important to get the good news out there, to show appreciation for the cafe and to promote their business, and also to promote the concept of shifting to plant-based at universities. And you can do this with promoting on social media, as well as issuing press releases. This can help raise awareness of the campaign, inspire others to join the action. And you can also reach out to our communications team, who can help send out press release to thousands of media contacts, and to help your good news go viral. And we can really help in different ways as well. We can help with your social media. So please do reach out to us if you do get successes. And if they say no, don't panic. Keep negotiating. It's definitely not over. Since we've launched the plant-based treaty, we've had many examples of organizations and politicians saying no at first, and then changing their minds when we continue talking with them. Having that conversation, keeping that communication open is really important. So if they do say no, ask them why. What are the barriers in the way? How can we help them overcome those barriers? Perhaps it's too short notice, and then if that's the case, you could ask them to commit to an occasion later in the year. Do they need help with recipes? Is low-cost recipes? Maybe they're tied to a food service provider. If so, maybe they could arrange a meeting for us with the food service provider, and we can discuss it with them. Perhaps the provider will be on board with it. And if they are very resistant still, then there are other ways they can help. Maybe they could make specials on the menu vegan. They can offer discount for vegan dishes. They could do other kind of promo for vegan dishes. And if they agree to just like a small buy-in like that, it can really help, because it starts that dialogue, it starts that relationship, and you've got something to work with and build on. And if you aren't sure how to help them, reach out to us anytime, and we can help with that as well.
So how can we use carbon labelling on campus to increase the demand for plant-based food? So in 2023, Edinburgh became the first European capital to endorse the plant-based treaty, and in January 2024, they published their plant-based action plan, which includes a trial of Climato's carbon labelling at Edinburgh's Heriot-Watt University, as well as local schools. And Edinburgh University have also agreed to add carbon emissions labels to their printed menus for their outlets. And they've also agreed to meet with the Better Food Foundation to explore different ways to increase the uptake of plant-based options, so that the demand for the plant-based food is always present.
Plant-Based Treaty has partnered with Climato, a carbon labeling business based in the UK. They work with Hilton Hotels, the University of Bristol, University of Manchester, University of Reading, Falmouth University, and the University of Exeter. On the slide here, you'll see an example of how Climato's carbon labeling works. Can anyone identify the labels here that are aligned with the Paris Agreement? So if you want to put in the chat, which label do you think is Paris Agreement aligned? That is, global warming should not be more than 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius. So label B is in line with emission reductions needed by 2030 under the Paris Agreement, and label A is in line with reductions needed by 2050. So the labels A and B in green are Paris aligned for certain periods. The ratings are colored. So green is often used for go, as you know. So here the green color coding is low in emissions and used to nudge people to make the right choice and pick green on the menu, which is plant-based. Amber and red colors suggest you avoid these high emitting decisions. So it's an instant way to communicate to someone that emission numbers mean without having to include in-depth instructions.
Thank you, Anita. Very well said. So now sharing information from Climato's website. Did you know that you can eat 10 vegan burgers for the same climate cost as an average beef burger? It's really amazing. Carbon labeling is an effective action universities can use to encourage students to choose the plant-based options. Often we encounter the problem of there being many vegan options, but sales are low. Carbon labeling can help increase demand, with organizations like Climato leading the way.
Thanks, Uday. So here are the results from Climato's carbon labeling at COP26, the climate negotiations in Glasgow in 2021. And what you can see here in the results is that in the blue zone is where policymakers meet and negotiate. Vegan dishes were more popular, were the most popular option with 39% of sales. In the green zone is where the NGOs set up, the nonprofits, where there was a choice between vegetarian and meat option, 70% of people chose the veggie option. So as you can see, this labeling helped nudge people to make the right choice. The Hilton hotel chain is also using Climato's carbon labeling and have reported that customers are choosing more plant-based options since the rollout. Carbon labeling will be the future and become an industry standard as people are thinking more about their food choices. So how do you ask your university cafeteria to adopt carbon labeling? We have a sample letter you can use to adapt and send to head chefs at university cafeterias. If you are already in face-to-face contact with your university chef, you can explain the benefits of carbon labeling to their business. Consumers are increasingly demanding transparency. Carbon labeling is simple, quick, and easy to implement. It will place the cafeteria as leaders in sustainability, and it will help reduce the university's carbon footprint and help the planet, people's health, and the animals. Even if they aren't 100% sold on the idea, ask them if they would like to meet with Climato to learn more about how it works. Once they agree, you can arrange an introduction to Climato, which we can help you with. Carbon labeling is a great discussion point with any cafeteria who has not yet agreed to trial a vegan menu.
Also, like we had like one question about the pricing. Sorry, just one amazing stuff, Anita. Like yeah, like Climato, they do charge for their like for having they have an annual subscription. So if you want, you can reach out. You can reach out to us, and we can like give you contact with Climato for you to like share the pricing, and you can hopefully get them on board with the university.
All right. So how can universities further promote plant-based eating? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the chat. So has anyone heard of Greener by Default or Default Veg? It's all about making plant-based options the norm in institutions that serve food and beverages. For instance, imagine if when you're ordering a coffee, the default option was oat milk instead of dairy, but with the dairy option still available upon request. We can also implement nudging techniques, for instance, placing plant-based options at the top of menus or making the dishes plant-based with the option to add meat. Lowering the price of plant-based dishes can also encourage people to choose them. By offering incentives and making plant-based choices convenient, we can naturally increase their popularity. To educate students, we use various platforms such as posters, adverts, film screenings, and lectures across the university campus. You can even reach out to your student newspaper, radio station, or TV program to include more content about plant-based eating. We can help you put together a guide to distribute around campus that guides students towards plant-based eating. Our guides even give students the why and how for plant-based dining. So in a landmark study carried out by Sodexo, Better Food Foundation, and the Food for Climate League across 3 campuses they serviced, which was New Orleans, Tulane University, Philadelphia's Lehigh University, and Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, found that when vegan food was served as the default, 81% of students chose it. So the key study findings is on days when the plant-based dish was served as the default option, we observed a 23.6% reduction in food-related greenhouse gas emissions. And when the defaults are implemented consistently, the average consumption of plant-based dishes increased from 30.8% with the control days, so just the regular menu, and then 81.5% with the default veg intervention. And I'll add a link to that study in the chat so you guys can take a look.
Yurim, you're on mute.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Kenzie. Thank you, Nia. So yes, following the success of our plant-based treaty guide to Glasgow during COP26, we're actually about to launch our very first on-campus guide to the University of Toronto. So so this is what will be included in the guide. The guide would include plant-based options in cafeterias around campus and also off-site, as well as information about food sustainability, climate impact, affordability that will benefit students and also university staff. And I have a question for everyone. Is anyone here interested in producing a guide for their university like this one? If you do, please let us know in the chat. Okay, I'll just wait a few moments. Okay, and also for our next slide, so I'm wondering, did you know that actually most universities have a sustainability plan, which actually outlines strategies and targets to reduce carbon emissions? You can actually leverage this to ask your cafeterias and also student unions to commit to plant-based dining, because actually 1/3 of greenhouse gas emissions, as we know, come from food, even more than transportation. So as you can see here in the screenshot, that's a screenshot of the University of Toronto 2023 report on sustainability. And we can share it in the chat. And I encourage you to also look at your own institution's sustainability targets.
Thank you, Yurim. So now just sharing about a recent event that we had. So student groups can play a key role in building up bottom-up pressure from within the university. They can help educate their peers, meet with chefs and caterers and decision makers. So recently at University of Waterloo, we collected over 100 endorsements after one tabling event with the UW Animal Rights Society, where we asked students to endorse the treaty, sign the University of Waterloo petition, and after which they got the opportunity to spin a prize wheel and win prizes including plant-based cookies, participating in plant-based milk sampling, and they left with vegan starter kits after following the social medias of our club. Overall, we were able to help build student support, show signatures to higher up food services and sustainability departments. And yeah, it's really great to create the campaign for the Waterloo University, which you can replicate at wherever you are. Let us know if you're interested in creating a petition for your own university website, which would really help.
Longer term campaigns for menu change. How can we transform our short-term successes, like a vegan trial for a month, into a long-term change? We think it's a really good idea to collect feedback from the cafeterias who do sign up for the monthly vegan pledge, to find out what success they've had with the vegan menu, find out from them how their sales went, what things went well, what didn't go well, what they think they would do differently next time. Ask them if they had the support they need or if there's anything more we could do, and just help them find solutions to any barriers or problems that they came across. Speak to them also about whether they would do a second trial, and then try and learn about all the things that you've learned from this trial to go into the next one in a stronger position. For the cafeterias that do sign up to do the trial, ask them if they're going to increase the vegan options now that they've done the trial. And as we've mentioned before, be really persistent in engaging with them to try and encourage them to do more, try and build on the successes that you have one step at a time, and just keep that engagement and conversation going with the decision makers.
Thank you, Nicola. So some barriers you may face are low sales, pricing issues, and sometimes less demand for plant-based food. For example, the cafe that we work with shared that 7 out of 11 of the dishes were plant-based, but 80% of the sales came from the non-plant-based items.
Yeah, and we've been working closely with the National Union of Students in the UK. They operate in over 600 locations. So they represent 7 million students, and they've been telling us that even though 50% of the menus within their control are plant-based, only 5% of the sales are coming from plant-based options. So what that shows us is education of students is a really important part of this issue. So we need to tackle it on both getting the university to provide the plant-based options, but then also educating the students on the benefits of plant-based and seeing them shift their buying habits towards plant-based as well.
Thank you, James. Thank you. So thank you everyone for watching the presentation. And now for the next part of this webinar, we can all take part by contacting our local universities. So if you're a student, you can also try to create a student club. So please sign up on the Excel sheet that Uday will post in the chat if you want to take part in the university campaign. So we're going to share that link. Also, we have a few calls to action. We invite you to please write, call, or meet with the sustainability department, student cafeterias, and executive chefs at your institutions. Please sign up on our Excel sheet if you'd like to take part in the university campaign so that you can advocate individually or also as part of a student club. Also, join the Plant-Based University WhatsApp group for support along the way. And also check out our university's playbook on the Plant-Based Treaty website. So we're going to add a few links in the chat. And now we're going to move on to Q&A.
I'm just going to send the link in a minute, but yeah, Q&A would be amazing.
So wondering if anyone has any questions about anything we covered. You can raise your hand or you can also pop it in the chat. Okay, there's a question in the chat. How did you measure economic impact? Maybe I can speak on that. On the slideshow, we made a recommendation to gather data from cafeterias, and then from that data, that's when we would assess. But I'm not sure if anyone else has any input on that. Will a slideshow of this webinar be available? I know that we're going to have a webinar recording available.
Yes, I was wondering if it was possible to add Joseph to the panel. Joseph is with Clamato. And there was a comment in the chat asking Joseph to follow up with the university, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, let us know if you have any questions, either from the carbon labeling, the success stories, or anything that you might need, or any thoughts, comments. We have Kenzie here also from the Better Food Foundation if you have any questions about that initiative. Or Kenzie, do you have any questions for the members joining us? Maybe we can.
And Joseph is in the panelists now, so we can speak on Clamato.
We do have a question really quickly. It says, what do you think about petitioning on campus? Uday, I'm not sure if you want to.
Yeah, sure. So like actually, like James was able to make an amazing petition for us for University of Waterloo, and that's really helped us because students can now be like they can petition for Waterloo to shift to plant-based system, and they have a tick box that says endorse the plant-based treaty, so it's like a 2-in-1. The only third thing would be is to ask them to send the email to the city council, but that's a separate campaign. But yeah, so if you were interested, you can email, I believe, hello@plantbasedtreaty.org and ask about creating a petition for your own university or college. Then we can create one, and that'll be amazing for you to integrate.
Also, Yasmin Boo has her hand up. Would you like to go ahead, Yasmin?
Well, thank you for the amazing presentation. And I would like to ask that when we want to convince the cafeteria to have more plant-based options, should we do like a survey for the students in the campus, like about the demands of the plant-based option to provide like a evidence to show that we have strong support from the student side? And if there's any sample questions for the surveys.
Thank you, Yasmin. I can just quickly mention, yes, like all forms of data are really valuable and important to all stakeholders, like for us or you campaigning, but also as we, have a dialogue with the sustainability department and other departments with chefs. So we all want to know that data. So for sample questions, maybe we can connect, you can connect with us and we can help you with that. But definitely surveys are very important. Data is really important to show as evidence, as you mentioned, demand and what the students think, because students are a very important stakeholder at universities, and also student voices are really, really important. So I encourage everyone to really rely on petitions. But yeah, send us an email or you can just message us and we can help you.
Thank you.
Yeah, also I just want to add, yeah, like if you make your own petition for your university or college, that itself could ask questions about what type of options they want on campus. So it could be again like asking them to shift to a plant-based system, but in the meantime, increasing the options in whatever one they want. Yeah.
Joseph, did you want to say a few things? Are you able to turn your camera on? I don't know if we have to make you co-host. Somebody can make Joseph a co-host so he can turn camera on.
Yeah, I am here. Yeah, right, to just turn my camera on now.
Yeah. Awesome.
Brilliant. Hey, nice to meet everyone. Yeah, my name's Joseph from Clamato, and that was a fantastic presentation, and happy to hear all the great ideas everyone's doing to promote plant-based foods. For us at Clamato, we focus on sustainability in food, and we think that the one way that we can all have a sustainable future is through the promotion of plant-based food. And we think one key element is driving engagement with people using carbon labels. We think they give people more informed decisions. We know that not everyone is turning plant-based right now, but we think that key environmental reason is a way to persuade people to turn to plant-based foods. So we hope the carbon labels give people more informed decisions, but also help the culinary team understand what is actually a sustainable dish or food that they can serve. So this is where we've been working more on the back end with the culinary team and the chefs to produce more carbon-friendly food. So yeah, if you're interested, please reach out. And one thing that we have been looking at now is beyond carbon itself, looking at things like land use, water and water pollution. which obviously are really important things. And we're just working on now how to quantify biodiversity, because all of these different metrics will make up sustainability as a whole.
Do you want to share your email as well, Joseph, if people want to reach out?
Yeah,
Or did you already?
I'll put my email in the chat, and please, if anyone's got any questions, please reach out to me.
Cool. Oh, you have a question. What's your science behind your climate labeling? How easy it is for chefs to implement?
It's the science behind it's a really good question. So currently there's no regulation around it. So what we do is we follow a certain ISO standard to build our data and follow a certain methodology. What we then do is work with different research institutes. So we work with the IVL in Sweden, which is the oldest European environmental institute. And we also recently partnered with the WRI, the World Resource Institute, to validate not only our data, but our methodology as well as part of their Cool Food program. So that's a bit about the science. We've actually taken a bit of a different approach, and we've built our own database. Some other sustainability companies license other existing ones. We decided to build our own. And also in terms of how is it easy to implement for chefs, we get this all the time. We know that chefs are overworked and too busy, and we don't want to add another thing to their plate. So what we have is a tool that is very easy to use, very quick. We say it takes between a minute or two to input a recipe to our tool to calculate the carbon footprint. And also what we do now is we integrate into existing recipe management system and procurement systems to avoid that manual input into our system as well.
Someone raised their hand, Kathleen Hothersall. Would you like to go ahead?
Oh, no. Oh, I'm sorry. That must have been a mistake on my part. I'm sorry.
All good.
Yeah, please message hello@plantbasedtreaty.org if you have any follow-up questions. That's the main one. Then we can, send it to the appropriate person. So we have a question from Dan. How close do you think we are to a time when carbon labeling becomes mandatory, e.g. supermarket foods and in restaurants, in a way that salt, sugar, calorific amounts are at least UK products?
It's a really good question on that. So we're actually talking with DEFRA, which is our environmental department of our government right now, on the future of carbon labeling. And we hold the thing that we want everyone to follow the same regulation around this. We want a kind of a group approach to tackling this. We don't currently at the minute, people have got different labels. We don't want to confuse consumers. We'd rather work together as a whole community on this and work together going forward. Where do I think the carbon labeling is becoming mandatory? It's a bit of a political question. Depending on which government comes in, can really dictate whether this becomes mandatory or not. We do believe that it will become mandatory in the future, and where we're seeing this more is in food service, hospitality as well. I think will come in the future, but on that retail side, I think we're still a little bit off. But once we've kind of got that joint up approach, I think we could see it fairly shortly.
Awesome. And we have a hand from sorry, I'm not pronouncing it right. Bugra?
Yeah, Bura.
Bura. Nice.
Yeah, Bura is better. Hi, my name is Bura. I am from Turkey, Muğla, and we are creating one super app for plant-based life, and not only for us, but for those who would like to adopt plant-based lifestyle. If we can show people veganism is actually, it's easy to choose, that would be better, and we can convert more people into plant-based life. So that is our aim, first aim. So the application is still on beta. It is a European Union supported project by EIT Digital Ventures. So we became one of the top 40 startups. And so it would be great if you can install the app and give us some feedback. We are still revising the project. As I said, it is still on beta. But in mid-March, we will release the full version. So up until then, we have social media, we have vegan place finder, vegan recipes, and so on. So check it out, and I am open to any collaboration.
That's so cool. Can you put the name of the app in the
Yeah,
chat?
veganistic. Actually, I put it there. Let me.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna check it out.
There's a question. Does anyone have any experience with a veterinary university on the panel or in the audience? If anyone could help, Murto Varela is asking.
So would that be like more like on the
Mhm.
diet of dogs and cats? Or-
Well, I am thinking of a parallel idea here because, for example, University of Guelph has has a veterinary college. So I'm thinking that one of my suggestions could be for you to maybe connect with a student group that's aligned with, you know, the plant-based treaty values or plant-based living or animal advocacy, and then from there maybe hold some tabling events, you know, educating. And maybe from there, maybe making connections and having discussions. So maybe start from there for making connections and education. But please reach out. If you could reach out, hello@plantbasedtree.org. We would love to help further. Yeah.
No.
Guelph University in Ontario is a very agricultural sort of place, and as Urim said, it has a veterinary college, but they have one of the most plant-based options of any university in Canada, and they have an Indian Canadian chef who's very plant-based friendly. So we all visited it, and it was incredible the amount of, like, there was a fully vegan restaurant within the food court, and there was a lot of veg friendly offerings in the other restaurants. So you never know. So it's worth trying. Like we have to try every place because sometimes there are unexpected, you know, successes.
Myrto Varela also has his hand up. Do you want to speak on that, Myrto?
Yeah, you can unmute. Or you can put your question in the chat if you want. Maybe they need some time.
Yeah. Okay, we have another question. Are there plant-based conferences for building relationships and learning more in the near future? It feels pretty lonely out here and could use some partners. Plant-based conferences for building relationships.
Yeah, where are you located? Just wondering. Maybe we can find some for you. Yeah. Do some research. Baltimore. Is that the right one? Yeah, I can do some quick research. Let's see.
Baltimore's near Washington, right?
Mm.
So there's that Washington conference in Early Bay, the Animals Vegan Advocacy Conference.
Oh, APA.
I think it's in May.
Uh,
Yeah, if you want to, we can maybe potentially meet with you there, and we can maybe set up a team in Baltimore. That'll be cool.
there's another question. Any running list of universities and schools already endorsing this? Paul, do you mean Climato or
Yeah,
like
Climato
who are
has
already? Yeah, because we have a slide where it mentions Edinburgh's, right? Harriet Watt University, but I'm not sure if Joseph wants to speak on that.
Yeah. So we're working with multiple universities in Sweden, across Europe, and also mainly in the UK. So working with over 10 now. And looking to expand even further. We've just partnered with an organization called Tuco, which are they run all the catering outlets at every university. They're an organization. We're now listed as a supplier, so be part of that framework to reach out with even more. So yeah, it's just a start for us, and I think we're working with the most amount of universities out of any different company. So, and now looking to expand more into the US now. And I saw a good question about pushback from angry parents. We actually had this at Edinburgh City Council as well. We were going to roll out to all of their schools, and we had some pushback from parents. And I think what's really important of how to deal with this is that we understand that it can be a sensitive topic for people. But I think this is where Clamato, what we're trying to do is present the argument very clearly using data. It showed them that we need to hit our targets using this. There's no way around sustainability without addressing the issue of food. We know that the UN done an emission gap report and said no matter what we do in terms of energy and transport, if we don't hit our food related targets, we will not hit our as part of the Paris Agreement, the 2-degree target. So I think presenting that argument very clearly, I think is very clear, and using data, I think helps win over some people that are unsure at the start.
I also, if I could add to that as well, definitely data, but also student voices. Even if there's pushback, I mean, there's a very strong argument when students themselves want this initiative. Like if the students support carbon labeling and also plant-based food options. Yeah. Okay, Robert added to his comment. He was talking about pushback. So Robert, did you want to maybe speak on this? Do you want to maybe unmute? Okay, he mentioned he experienced pushback from parents for University 11 students 18 to 22. But then once again, what I'm seeing in the case studies of the work with the universities is that student voices are very powerful. So definitely, even if there's pushback, we need to be persistent because we know we're on the right side of history, and this is very, very crucial, very important. So keep at it and connect with us, please. Part of the solution is connecting and being a community. So don't think that you need to do this alone. Just connect with us. And promote Clamato as well, because that's an excellent tool. It'll help. Any more questions? Shika Jane asked, any success at any Indian universities? We know that many cities in India have endorsed the plant-based treaty, so there's already a lot of support. But maybe we can connect back to you on that. Please connect. I think it's important. In the call to action slide we shared, please join the WhatsApp group. And I think that's a good starting point, and also emailing us.
Yeah, in India, we have a Mumbai Animal Safe chapter. Prajita runs it, and so we can connect you with her. She has done a lot of screenings of McAdoo or mother's milk at universities across India. So I don't know if you, Shika Jane, if you know Mumbai Animal Safe, but that we can connect you with Prajita. So Paul mentioned that you're working on an event for your city and county governments. We're going to have a city training in 3 weeks. So we already did one city advocacy training last year. And our next webinar is in 3 weeks on that. And also Mariana from Buenos Aires, Argentina is going to do a training on how to do video editing and storytelling. So that's going to also be in early March. We also have WhatsApp chats for different countries for plant-based treaty for city campaigns. So if anyone's particularly interested, just let us know in the chat and we can give you a link to our different country chats. But right now we're advertising the university WhatsApp chat, which we can see there in the just posted. There were so many comments in the chat, so we might have missed some questions. So I don't know if we did miss your question. Sorry. If you don't mind typing it again. And also, I just wanted to thank our special guests, Kenzie Bushman from Better Food Foundation. And I know, Kenzie, if you wanted to say anything about your university campaign to get departments to commit to veg by default.
Yeah, thanks, Anita. Yeah, so the Better Food Foundation also has a university campaign as well, but we are really focusing on plant-based defaults, like I spoke about earlier. So if that's something that you're interested in, we're really trying to push for a lot of not only, you know, to be making changes in the cafes and in the cafeterias of universities, but also in like the wider community of universities. And so if you're interested in, you know, really focusing on, you know, having conversations, creating allies on campus, and having them have the opportunity to serve a lot more plant-based meals than they already have, please reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to work with you to, you know, really just be pushing that more, because the more that we can do, obviously, the better. So yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Kenzie. I just had a quick question. So we in the poll we ask if anyone's planning to ask their university to trial a vegan menu for Earth Month, and many of you said yes. So if you have any ideas, if you want to share those ideas, I encourage you to join the chat, but also email us, because that way we can help each other. Also in the polls we had asked if anyone's interested in creating a guide for your own university. A lot of you at the beginning mentioned that you joined us from different parts of the world and different universities. So it'd be great to come together and offer support. So I encourage you to please join the chat, but also email, and we can make this happen. And also further, like far in advance, because right now it's like the right time to have that momentum going, ready for Earth Month. Yeah, and more about the Better Food Foundation, Kenzie's email is in the chat. So I encourage you to also check out her website, betterfoodfoundation.org, and also connect with her.
I was wondering if someone could post the Excel sheet again, because we asked people to fill out the Excel sheet if they'd like to be part of some of these campaigns. And also you can email us at hello@plantbasedtreaty.org.
Yeah, I can put the sheet.
Or join the WhatsApp. Those are some of the different ways to connect. We also have introductory welcoming meetings every Friday at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. EST. So if you'd like to join that and just to learn more about the campaign, we'd love for you to do that. So I'll just put the link to register in the chat, or if somebody could help me with that. There it is. Yeah, register here. So yeah, so every Friday we have welcoming calls, 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. EST. Are there any other comments that anyone would like to make, or, you know, again, special thanks to our special guests, Joseph and Kenzie. So I don't know, Joseph, if you have any final comments, and maybe let us know more about how the campaign is going. We'd love to see you in Canada. I know people want to see you in the US and elsewhere in Europe.
Yeah, no, we've already, so what we use is country-specific databases to get the data as granular as possible. And we've already built out our North American databases, so we're ready to go. We're already working with some of our US partners, and I think it's a really exciting time. I was actually on a call yesterday with a US university, and I think that there's a real opportunity in North America, I think, to learn from the mistakes of what we've done in Europe, and to actually leapfrog us to go one step further. And I think that being able to have this accurate, reliable data to be able to guide your decisions, I think is really important. And I feel there's a really, really good momentum building with things like the plant-based treaty to make effective change and do it at scale very quickly. So it's a really exciting times.
We're just checking the chat if there's any more questions. So yes, so just to remind you, please register, check the chat for the Excel, the Google Doc document, so that you can join in the campaign. And please connect with us, stay connected, and we hope that you enjoyed this webinar.
Yeah, Jareen is in the audience, and she did this amazing video. I think it was on Facebook. I don't know, Jareen, if you want to post it in the chat for people to watch. Oh, there it is. Or it's TikTok. If there's a way for us to show it and share a screen, it would be nice. Can we do that?
I'm trying to log into my TikTok from the computer. 1 second. I can share my screen if you want, Anita. Do you
Sure,
want me
that'd be
to
amazing.
screen?
Thank
So I'm sharing my screen, share sound. Okay, let's see. Let me just start like
University Station.
See, we're going vegan left, right, and center.
It's a great video. It's exciting. Yeah, so I hope everyone felt inspired because as you can see, you know, like the nice setup we had, they had stickers. But if Jareen is here, I'm not sure if she wants to talk about it. Jareen, are you? Is she okay here? Jareen, would you like to maybe unmute and just to share a little bit about the video and your experience? Thank you.
Hi there. Yeah, no, it was we've been there a few times now, and each time it's been a very positive experience. The students are really afraid of the climate crisis, and that's usually one thing that makes them stop. And they listen entirely to the plant-based tree. They're intrigued by it, and we get like 3 pages of signatures every time we're there. And they love stickers. I don't know what it is about these university kids, but they just love stickers. So that always intrigues them as well. But I think it's an exciting campaign, absolutely. And I think anyone that starts it will have positive results from it for sure, because these students are definitely wanting to be a part of change. And we're coming to them with that opportunity and with the opportunity for them to be involved in it. So they'll take part in it for sure.
Thank you, Jareen. Yeah, we also had a very exciting meeting with Heather Mills. She's with V-Bites, and I didn't know if we're thinking of how can we promote what she called like the different phases of dishes. So she said you don't go straight to like the most healthy, like raw vegan, full of vegetables, full of fiber dish, because she said there's like different phases, like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So for phase 1, you sort of draw people in, and she's trying to address the issue that we have where there's a lot of plant-based offerings, but there's very little buy-in. So how do we change that? And she said the way to change it is like phase 1 is like these very tasty, like for like, instead of a meat burger, a very delicious vegan burger, instead of like fish, like fishes, having like a vegan version or something like that. So, for example, at Cafe Vital, Cafe Verde, where Yareem spoke about, the tuna dish being popular and the ham and cheese. So our challenge is how do we provide like for like? And, partly the carbon labeling will help people make the right choice, but we also have to make delicious, tasty, alternatives for phase 1. But that's what V-Bites and Heather Mills is grappling with. So we'd also like to have a webinar with her at some point, because she's really studied sort of like, how do you succeed, you know, in terms of getting people to want the vegan options. I don't know if anybody has comments on that, and or your experience from, you know, Veg by Default, or like, how do we make, you know, there are all these techniques that we can use to increase the uptake.
Yeah, something that we use a lot is it is just the way that food is labeled, not like carbon labeling, but like what the dish is actually called. Making sure that we're really focusing on like texture, taste, flavor of dishes, as opposed to, you know, when a lot of dishes are labeled that are plant-based, a lot of times they'll say like low fat or fat free or whatever that might be. A lot of times that's just not something that people are really all that interested in trying. And so when we're instead like really focusing on the taste, the texture, all of those things that really get people to want to try these plant-based dishes, and that's something that we can help with at the Better Food Foundation as well. As well as Greener by Default. They have a lot of help being able to do that in corporate settings. And so we would love to be able to help with that. And yeah, that would be a really fascinating webinar. I'd love to attend that.
Thank you so much. That sounds great. Milena, would love to hear from you. Milena is the US liaison for Plant-Based Treaty. And just while Milena's getting set up, so Adrian does marketing. So if you need materials for a table, we can, Adrian is in the audience, I think, as well. Just email hello@Plant-Based Treaty. So we can guide you to the right person for materials. Is Milena, are you able to speak, or? Sorry, we don't hear. Milena, are you able to speak? Or if you can't, do you want to just type something in the chat? And we have a couple of other comments. So Andrew says we need to counter the arguments that vegan meats are not healthy compared to animal-based meat. Yeah, so definitely health arguments. That's something we didn't focus on in this webinar, but yes, health arguments are key. We did get that feedback from counselors as well to talk more about health. And I guess in the cafeteria example that we mentioned with Chef Nancy, she very much focused on longevity. And when we met with Heather Mills, she also said there's different phases, phase 1, phase 2. In phase 2, you then introduce more vegetables and more fiber, more whole foods. And she said, certainly if you go to hospitals, you can go straight to phase 2, which is the healthier vegetables and whole foods. And then Robert is asking, do you have any data relating to people being more or less likely to choose a vegan option if it does or doesn't have the words vegan or plant-based? You know, Kenzie, as you know, the World Resources Institute has done a lot of research on this about, I think they call it the 5 Ps, like placement, position, all these things. But yes, they have a World Resources Institute has a playbook for plant-based offerings for chefs. So we could, if you want to just Google that, it's World Resources Institute playbook for plant-based dishes for chefs. So Milena's microphone isn't working, so she can answer here. Okay, I think we are over time now, so I guess we'll wrap up. So just, you know, thank you everyone for joining. We appreciate it. Again, if you have any follow-ups, we will do another webinar for universities in a few months. Yeah. We didn't mention the Safe and Just report. Yeah, we also have a Safe and Just report on our website, which has a lot of information on the impact of food emissions and the solutions. So please download it. You can just go to Plant-Based Treaty, and under resources, you can download the Safe and Just report. And we're going to do a Safe and Just report every year for COP, or the Global Climate Talks. Yeah, and Jennifer posted the website for that. So yeah, just thanks everyone for joining. We really appreciate it. And we hope to work with you, follow up with you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Stay connected. See you soon.